Hi Max, thanks for joining me. Would you mind just telling people a little bit more about yourself and a little bit about BaseTemplates?
Yeah, 100%. So Max, I'm the co-founder of BaseTemplates. I've been creating businesses over the last 15 years in different spaces and have raised money for several companies myself. And at some point, I wanted to share all of my experiences around fundraising, pitch decks, and everything. And so we came up with BaseTemplates as the place for everyone who's thinking about raising money for their startup. And with BaseTemplates, you can get, on the one hand, simple to use templates. On the other hand, we have some services, more white glove for everyone who wants to have a custom pitch deck. And what we are most proud of is our resource section. So we are creating a lot of tools and free content around startups, fundraising, and investors.
I definitely have to say, working with BaseTemplates has, also been a bit of a passion project for me as well, because as a startup founder, I've experienced a lot of the pains that you're solving. So that's been fantastic to see. And in terms of BaseTemplates itself, what was it like before working with Reforta Media? I know that the website was already a success before, but it'd be interesting to hear a little bit more about what it was like and what the journey's been like.
Yeah. So since we started BaseTemplates, we always had a big advantage. So we already had a lot of organic traffic coming in through different mini products that we built. And I would say that this is also one of our major strengths. So we are always creating these side product-led growth initiatives where we create freebies, mini tools that drive a lot of traffic and the right audience towards BaseTemplates.
Yeah.
Besides that, we were always thinking of how can we expand our customer acquisition. We tried a lot with paid marketing, but we're never really satisfied with the results. And as we saw organic traffic coming in through these mini products, we thought, hey, why not increase our SEO initiatives? But the main problem for us was always around consistency. So I personally don't love to write, so it's really painful for me to create these articles.
You're not
And it
alone.
was really, really hard to find the right freelancers to write about the topics because it's very specific about startups, venture capital, and especially we are really analytics and results driven. And most of the content writers that I was working with were more okay, we are just going to write a nice article. But as you know, for a lot of the things, you have to have a deep understanding of how Google and the ranking algorithm works to really rank up high. And we were never really satisfied with the results with most freelance content writers. So at some point we decided we need to change something and really team up with someone who understands our vision of creating this huge content library, but also seeing the business case behind it. Because for us, as a bootstrapped startup, it's always about being very effective with our money. And so luckily I met you and we teamed up on this.
Amazing. And I guess the sort of building upon that point, when you came across us, it was actually for a referral. But what made us stand out? Why did you pick us over the other options?
Yeah. So for me personally, when working with someone, the personal fit is the most important thing. And after having our initial conversation, I was very positive on the relation that we had already built up, because I had the feeling that you really understand what we are looking for, and you were also very adaptive to what we needed. So other agencies and other players in the market always try to sell almost like a fixed package that they sell to every kind of client. But for us, it's really important to be very flexible on how much content we are creating, but also for you already came up with a huge analysis on stuff that we could make, and we have created this kind of backlog of things that we could use. And this is really, really cool, because for me, I could always go in there, pick something that we wanted to do, and then we just did it together. This is a true source of value, especially also because you not only thought about creating new content, but also took a look at the pages that we already had and said, hey, Max, for example, let's optimize this page. There's this huge demand in traffic, but you are not using it in a way that you could because it's missing a little bit of content or something. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. And I guess one thing I wanted to touch upon as well, I plan to do it at the end, but I think it's a good point to touch on. You know, I'd say we've got a good relationship. We spoke about different things. We provided a strategy, but things haven't always gone to plan. You know, I believe it's 8 out of 10 of the articles that we've wrote are now ranking on page 1. 5 of your top best performing organic pages, 3 of them are written by us. But there was actually one case where we provided an article and it wasn't good enough, and you provided some feedback. You know, I'll put my first hand up and say not everything's going to be right, but it'd be great to learn a little bit more about what was our response like, and how do we sort of work with you to make sure that you were 100% satisfied with what we were producing.
Yeah, 100%. So the topic around fundraising and investment, it's like very, very specific. So you need a lot of experience for a lot of the topics to fully understand them. And I can totally see that for me, as someone who has been working in the industry for, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, I see these things right away. But I don't know, for someone who creates the content, this might be not the case. And so there was an article that we created where a lot of, or not a lot, but some
Cap
things
tables
were not like 100%, were not 100% correct. And I just like saw that, and then I gave a little bit of feedback, and you clearly iterated the article 1 or 2 times to make it really, really precise and everything. And I really appreciate that, because for a lot of other vendors that I worked with in the past, if they finish their article, they want to push it out as quickly as possible and never touch it again. And that's not the case with you and Rough Water, because you're always trying to get the most of every word that you created. And especially if articles are not ranking really, really well, you also come back and forth and say, hey, let's add something like this. Let's add this to the article to really make it stand out. And that was really, really cool. I really appreciate that kind of work.
No worries at all. And the example, I'll put it up on screen, that I think Max was referring to was the pros and cons of venture capital. So we wrote the article, we published it, we realized it wasn't ranking as well as it could have, and we made a change. We added a table, and it pretty much within 24 hours went to position 0, and it's now the best performing page on the website. So we'll always look to revisit, and I guess again flows on quite well to what's made you happiest about working with Rough Water Media.
So you are really easy to work with, and especially for me as a founder who's all over the place with work to do, I need partners who can think on their own and not like be briefed in a very, very detailed way. And I love that around our partnership, because I just gave you the big picture and then you started to run. And this is what I really, really like, especially around the partnership. And also, you can only do that if you have a certain level of trust. And I had that right away with you.
The last question was, why would you recommend a tech company works with us?
Yeah, in the end, I think for every tech company, it's important to have a certain level of organic traffic as a channel of acquiring new customers, but also helping with sales and marketing efforts. And it also builds up trust around your customers. So if you really want to do that, I think it's a great idea to work together with you, because you know exactly how to do it. And also, I love that you are really, really results and analytics driven. So for most companies that are in the tech sector, this will be a really, really cool way, because historically, a lot of the SEO efforts in the company were more like, okay, we are creating content and we don't know what is happening with that. So you never know. But with you, you're always sending these reportings and say, hey, look at the amount of clicks we got and everything. And that's really cool.
It's a lot of businesses just try it and see what happens, and then they're surprised when they don't get the results. But which sort of put shade on the SEO industry, which is a shame. But definitely it's got to be metric driven, especially in SaaS tech and the space that you guys are working with. I just wanted to say to finish off that thanks a lot, Max. It's been a pleasure working with you, and thanks a lot for taking the time to jump on this call to help us grow the company even more.
No worries. 100%. Looking forward to collaborating with you in the future.